But before that, I must thank our chief guest, Shri Arun Baroka ji. I think I just told him when he came in that this is really the big fillip that we get and the big booster that we get when we get co-participation. And government has always been, very close to ICC. But this is really a further testament that how seriously it's taken and how committed everyone is on the job. I would also like then to welcome Jacqueline Alvarez coming all the way. Again, that's a statement of commitment. And of course, my colleagues, Bimal, we have Nitin Desai would come, on virtual. And of course, Ashwin Shroff, who is the doyen of the industry. So thank you very much. But more than that, to thank all of you for coming, because what should be a conclave without the audience and without the participants? And so thank you very much. Yeah. I'm going to start with when we were here, the secretary made a comment which was very interesting, and I just like to quote him. And he said in Hindi, and then I translate for our non-Hindi friends, that सेहत का तो ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा, which means we have to look after our health. And this sustainability conference is about how the country needs to look after their health. The health goes across the economic cycle, across the social cycle, across all stakeholders. And I think this is really the key, the theme which drives us. I'm going to also be a little impertinent and use a term, so with permission of the secretary and everybody here, that in Hindi, when we were in school, and again I will translate it for our non-Hindi friends, there was this statement, and the boys, when they were fighting, they would say, Baap ka maal hai kya? Baap ka maal hai kya? Is this your father's property? So this was not sent in the nicest way, but I translate this to the relevance of this conference. There is a Kenyan saying that this earth is not the property of your father to do what you like with it. This is for your children to look after. So, and you look after the property because you look after it for the next generations. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what the theme of the conference and sustainability conclave is from the last 4 years. And I think this is something which we all are passionately involved, me, of all the people, yes, but I see all of you as well. On the ICC perspective, I'm going to quickly run through, especially since we have the secretary here, to quickly tell you that ICC's initiatives on sustainability started about 15 years ago, or I think even more, maybe 17 years ago. And we took all the difficult projects. The first difficult project that came about this lack of acceptance of responsible care. So the responsible care initiative. And this says, in German, again, there is a nice saying, the fish smells from the head to the tail. And if the head smells bad, the tail is going to smell bad. Based on this, we said responsible care has to be accepted by the CEO and the management of the company. And unless that is done and he believes it, or he's going to treat it, okay, I'm going to do ISO so-and-so 9000 and also one more box to tick, which is then responsible care. This can't work like this. And so we at ICC were able to convince first our executive committee and then all our members. And I think we have more than 150 plus now who have signed. And we have an elite group of about 50 plus, 60 plus RC audited members. And we guard the RCC audit and the logo very seriously because we don't give it away very seriously. And this is done. RC has today 7, and I'm not going to go into it, 7 pillars. The last pillar which was introduced was security code. And amongst them, there are various other codes which tackle environment, social governance, etc. So this was the first initiative and we could do that. The second one was, again, we got a request from the government, I remember, and Mishra ji sitting here can endorse it, on the Chemical Weapon Convention. So on the Chemical Weapon Convention, again, the traction was limited. We could not really tell the world that we are not responsible with our chemicals. This was a United Nations initiative out of Hague. And this was done, we celebrated the 10th year of existence of the main office, which was in Gujarat. And the Chemical Weapon Convention was implemented, I think, in full, absolute full, Mishra ji. The third one was, again, a tricky one, which was phosgene. And this was a sensitive matter because phosgene, as you know, has a bad smell, a bad name, and of course, bad reputation because of Bhopal. And the Phosgene Council was started. We do have phosgene manufactured in India, and the Phosgene Council was started in India as well. And this is, again, an ICC initiative. The latest one is Nicer Globe. And Nicer Globe is an initiative for transportation, safe transportation of hazardous goods. And this initiative is one of the most exciting because in India, Today also you have drivers who are not educated, trucks which are not in the best of condition, roads which are sometimes challenging, and it's extremely important that the transportation of hazardous goods is done in a safe way. Now, ICC did these four and many others, but again, just to tell you how confusing sometimes it gets, what you have is responsible care. First you had ISO, then responsible care. Now the latest one is ESG. You have now something called carbon neutrality. And if you put the bunch together in between, we have TFS also. So if you look at everything, and everyone has its merits, but I think the rules are very clear. Either you do it right or you do it wrong. Now you can decide where it falls under. ESG is environmental, social, and governance. And just a word about this. The significance of ESG for me is interesting insofar as that no longer banks, lenders, no longer money. And normally they say, if you want to do something or follow something, follow the money. And the money today says that if a company is not ESG compliant or leading in the way of ESG, you don't get the money. And this is coming on the basis that it was said, the serious shareholders, the banks, the serious shareholders are like private equity, have to make sure that ESG practices are done, because whichever other language businessmen may recognize or not, the money language is recognized very properly. So this was really the basis, and now we have environmental social governance, which is not much different from, let's say, responsible care, for instance. But the governance and the social part is being stressed, which means that we have a responsibility, not only, that was a nice card, compliant, you don't get the money. So this is really where it comes from. And this is really what chemical industry needs to see. For example, we now have carbon neutrality declared for 2070. The kind of challenges that are going to come up, and you're going to hear about this in the next day and next day or 2 days, is mind-boggling. But the kind of opportunity, and I'm going to end with this note, the kind of opportunity this is going to present is also mind-boggling, or I would say even mind-boggling. India is, I think, number 3 or number 4 as far as the total emissions are concerned. Per capita, we are very low. I was in Miami recently, and I just took a drive around with a friend, and I'm seeing every house, there are 4 cars, 1 boat, in some cases a small plane, and some small little bigger boat, ships, etc. So it's very easy for the Western countries to climb on top of a nice boat and make a comment that now the countries in the third world or the developing countries need to really be responsible, when they were not very responsible in the past. However, if we continue to make this argument, then I have to quote Mahatma Gandhi, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. So we have to find a solution here, and we have to find a viable solution. I think India is eminently suited to do this. India is absolutely up there. The entrepreneurs, the technology, the academicians, and bringing the opportunity, which is completely mind-blowing. For example, green chemistry. Today, when I'm based a lot in Europe today, every big customer, every big partner that you go to, the first question that is asked, what's really happening with scope 2, scope 3? What really are you doing about that? Even before the meeting starts, before they offer you coffee. This is really what it is all about. It's now an initiative come to stay. I think in India, we have a golden opportunity. We should take it with both hands, develop the technologies, whether it's green hydrogen or whether it is sustainability in terms of your reactabilities, reactions, your microreactors, whatsoever it is finally, in the end, whether process optimization, investments, ESG, responsible care, I think this is an opportunity which will never come again in history. So the next 20, 30 years, and I was just saying the next 10 years are critical so that we realize the goal and the dream that we have. I think the growth of the chemical industry is unprecedented, what is being projected. McKinsey has come out with a very good report on, decarbonizing India. And again, 10 minutes is too short to discuss it, but this is something I would recommend all should read. Look at the challenges, the problems, the opportunities. With that, once again, welcome. Thank you for the organizers who have worked really day and night to make this successful. Thank you to the secretary for being here, and also to Jacqueline for being here. Thank you.